Hello and welcome. This is Sado again. We have another game, and we start again with already a fight. uh, I didn't even have time to introduce the teams, but we have Hargon and Lexus versus Don Artie and Sjon, and as you can see, Hargon and Lexus already started fighting against the Dutch team. I'm a bit lost at what happens here right now, but I'm guessing it looks better for the Dutch team, despite them being kind of in a sandwich situation. Looks like the Czechs didn't want to waste too much time, or they are very rusty in fighting perhaps. One of the players was got caught already scouting. So that was probably one of the fastest fight maps we've had here. Okay, I forgot to turn on my camera for my fans to see my face. This is one of the most important things, so must allow me a little break. Okay, here goes the camera. Hello. And okay, you still can't see me, sorry. Okay, now it works. Really? Come on. Okay.
Hey, wake up.
Okay, so waiting for the game to start. Feels like it's a bit laggy. But I guess we'll have to live with it. I think I'll take a short break because we're still waiting, and the first few minutes of the game are not too interesting anyway, so I'll be back in a few minutes when there's some real action. So we're back.
Hey, wake up.
I apologize for the break. Had to grab something to eat real quick after the last game. I didn't really have time for that, so here we go. But as you can probably see, not that much time was happening. Anyway, let's take a look. So about the game and what are my expectations for it. It's going to be interesting because we have 4 beer clan members here. Some decided to play without tag for some reason, it seems. And 2 of them, Lexus and Hargon, are Czech players. I think they're brothers or at least close relatives, maybe cousins. And they didn't play this game for quite a while, so it's nice to see them back. While on the other side we have Don Artie and Sjon. Sjon also didn't play too much these days. So it's a bit of a comeback game for them. And I have a feeling that in a few games that we see on this map, we see many different ways of building here, and we will see different ideas. For example, well, this is not much of a different idea because Sjon is going more or less similar as Hamus tried to, going for early for all the forests he can catch. Also for the iron as well. It wouldn't be bad to have an inn. Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad. Still has some wood, so there's a while, which is really needed to finish this building. You can see that he made a lot of long roads and some buildings as well here. Sorry, it's probably a good idea to make the farms and woodcutters far away from the core of the base, which explains why he's planning to do this here. And okay, we'll see the other players to get a better idea about the timings, I guess. You can see he has a bit further distance towards the sorry, that was actually, we are looking at Don Artie, not Sjon. I have no idea why I thought it was black color, but whatever. And Sjon's base, yeah, he has a pretty far distance to all of his iron mines, and I'm guessing that he tried to have leather production and gold first, and obviously he needs to go for all his forests before he can start thinking about anything else, so that's his top priority right now. But you can see one pretty interesting difference. I think at this point of the game these players have more woodcut. Okay, 3 here. Still, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that's intended on Don Artie's side, but we will see. By the way, if any of the developers might be watching, maybe it's a good idea to do something about this. The visibility is not the best in some cases here. This color is, well, it isn't visible from this perspective. I have to, maybe it's partially the reason that, maybe the partial reason is that the viewing angles of my screen are not the best. Yeah, probably, but it's also not too readable like that. And when you click on Sjon, you can't see anything at all. Actually, no matter the, well, on snow it's a bit better, but usually you would have some grass here. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to make some kind of a white border for the text in this field, if it's possible at all, of course. But that's just a random idea, because that's not the first time I'm trying to figure out what exactly was written here. And it's nice to have this bit of transparency. It looks nice, but well, this map isn't the best example, but trust me on that. Normal circumstances doesn't really look too good, as you can see here. Okay, but going back to the game and what happens here. Lexus compared to Sjon seems a bit faster towards the iron, and seems to have a nice amount of woodcutters already, while his counterpart Hargon, I like the fact that his base is quite compact already. I think that's looking a bit better than Zoltan already, and one important thing might be getting gold to work well. And you can see he doesn't waste any time, makes a second gold smelter already, because well, yeah, there's quite some distance towards the gold, and especially a map like this, you gotta catch it as soon as it's possible, along with wood, of course. So he's making second gold mine as well, and he already tries to go for iron mines, but it's a bit of a less priority task for his builders. So obviously the first thing to do is probably iron and gold, wood, and farms. I think he has 6 woodcutters. Yeah, I'm not sure about current skill level of all the players right here, because they used to be pretty good, all of them. Only Don Artie from these 4 players was playing quite consistently, quite often. Maybe not like every day, I'm not sure, but definitely he didn't quit KaM. And I'm quite sure that he's gonna make a good army. Even pretty good, because he's known for pretty nice spam. But I must say that seeing these players here, you can see that maybe the map is quite tough, but you can play on a much better level than what we've seen in the previous game today. You just have to have a good plan, and you have to know what you're actually doing. I'm a bit worried though about Don Artie's wood, but I think he's just being precise. You can see that he's cutting the down the forests one by one, which is an interesting tactic, especially that he doesn't have many of woodcutters here. He plants everywhere. See, one of the mistakes people often do, I often do this mistake as well, and sometimes that mistake is made because of the way the location looks like. It's when a player makes a lot of woodcutters in one place at the same time, and they just cut everything out, then they start planting, then they start cutting, blah blah blah, etc. But if you cut all the trees down, there's a moment when you're not cutting anything from the entire forest there. So at the start of the game, when there's nothing planted there, it may become a real problem, because when you don't have any space to cut, any place to cut, to plant the trees, then you will have a gap in tree production at some point. And thankfully it's not me. And that's why you should make at least some of the woodcutters somewhere else, and time it well, so when you, for example, when you cut down all the trees in the big forest, you can go to cutting trees which were just planted by you, or you can just cut another forest then. So the timings have to work, and you can't just make 6 woodcutters in one spot and just forget about wood production, because you will have these gaps, especially in the first 30-40 minutes, I'd say. And here you can see that Don Artie has only 3 woodcutters, but they're in different places, and I don't see people doing that too often. He's making the 4th one, and I'm wondering if this has a chance to work, but the problem is this one took quite a long time to do, but on the other hand this one is already cutting, so I have a feeling this is just a very good timing on Don Artie's part, but I'm not 100% sure. For now he seems to have enough wood, but it's on the brink of depletion right now. But since the road making process is quite well, it takes a lot of time on this map, then I dare say that he's gonna have a lot of work anyway, no matter if he has wood or not for now. And he has most of the buildings he already needs. He has 2 swine farms, 4 farms if I'm correct, yeah, and making some soon probably. For a small base this will be enough, and that's probably what he intends to do here. But maybe let's take a look and try to compare this with Lexus's base. He's a bit behind Don Artie when it comes to iron production. Maybe slightly, no, not much better regarding swine farms. They seem to be working well. Okay. Definitely better with wood production. 6 woodcutters. Although you can see, oh yeah, the ones at the top will be cutting, so he's probably fine. This one are mainly planting. I'd say he doesn't have a lot of space here, but then he'll probably just keep building to the left side. And he still has one more forest here, so I think this is going to be a nice game for him. Making a staples already. It's 28 minutes still. Okay. Okay, just hold on a second. Okay, I think it's a good time to take a look at the chap. Okay, but YouTube is definitely working. Okay, when you see my responses to the chat questions, please remember that we're playing the stream with 10 minutes delay because we don't want people to know too much about the enemy. So there's a question. I play this on a regular basis, and while I'm not the best player around, I'd say I'm average, not bad, not good. Actually, I'm kind of a meme in this community because I'm playing this since like 9 years in multiplayer on competitive level, and I still can't figure out how to build efficiently. I just have a problem multitasking, I guess, and focusing on the game, but that's another story. But definitely, I know theory very well. And what's the most important part? The timings, probably, because I mean, you can learn how the base should look like how many buildings you should have, and that's another thing. So that's the basics, like 4 and later 5 stonemasons, maybe even 5 right away on some maps. On this one, for example, I would recommend it. At least 6 woodcutters, and obviously you have to focus. It's kind of logical because you have to focus on gold and wood at first. Also stone, but stone is pretty easy. You just make 5 stonemasons, and on most maps it's just enough. You make the 5th one a bit later usually, but it depends on the map, like I said. But you have to focus on wood and gold first, because without gold you can't train new units, and you can't keep making new serfs, which is really needed. And without wood you can't build anything, so that's most important at the start. Later you just keep building. There's a tutorial I wrote on it's on the forums about how to build, more or less. It's not perfect because the timings are sometimes a bit off, but it gives you a general idea. And but the most important thing is the timings, actually. Like you should have, for example, you can't make gold and wood too late, stuff like this. You have to make enough of farms until a certain point of the game. You just try to be as fast as possible, and try to be logical about this, because, for example, the faster you make the iron mines, the better your iron production will be. Because you have usually only 3 or sometimes even 2 iron mines. So to have best possible iron army on peacetime, you have to start digging. Getting out the iron from the mines as soon as possible, because you can only make 3, and you can make coal a bit later, or farms or whatever. Maybe farms are not the best example, right? But you are not limited. You can catch up with everything except gold and iron. So that's why, if you want to have nice iron, you should probably make like 3 iron mines right away, for example. But of course, if you do that on some locations, especially here, if you do that too early without having gold, wood, and all the other stuff, then you're not going to have good base, because you will be lacking something else. Anyway. I'm going back to the game, because it's easy to digress about how to play. Whoa, look at the amount of timber here. This guy definitely isn't going to have any wood problems, neither sooner nor later. Might need a weapon workshop, actually. would be nice to already start producing the weapons, then you don't have to make many of them right away. But I wouldn't say that his iron production is good. It's okay-ish, but looks like it will be a bit late. And what else we can see here? I mean, we should probably compare it with this log, and seems like Hargon's base might be a bit better regarding this. Yeah, he's a bit faster, and he already has 3 iron mines, which means that 3? Yeah, 3. Which means that his production should work pretty well already, and there's 90 minutes left. So I'm guessing 6 here. About 10 done. Yeah, he's probably aiming for about 30 soldmen on peacetime, so a standard amount. Would be nice to take a look at the pig farms. Look kinda empty to me, but seems like the farms are working correctly. Yeah, you can also see here, like, if you make the buildings which make the weapons fast enough, then should be no problem. I think basically all the problems you will have with your base in KaM will be because you made something too late at the first 30, maybe 40 minutes. Because when playing peacetime 60, you should have base ready like 10 minutes before peacetime, maybe even 15 sometimes, depends on what kind of base you're going for. If you're building up until peacetime and you still don't have weapons, weapon makers 10 minutes before peacetime, then there's something wrong with your base for sure. And it's very easy to do something wrong, and you know, it goes like a chain reaction. You don't have food, then your weapons will not be created in a couple of minutes because the smith and the carpenter and all the other guys start getting hungry, and they just refuse to work. So yeah, it can mean that your base will not be able to work. Hold for a second, because I think I need to make something. Okay, 16 minutes to peacetime. Looking at Don Artie's base, doesn't look like he has a lot of coal mines. Looks like that's enough. Maybe made them a bit earlier. Only 2 iron mines, which is also interesting. I think he's aiming for 25 swordmen on peacetime, which is not that great, but on this lock I think it's fine because of the ridiculous distance towards the iron mines. Sound cutters. seems like I'm not quite sure. We'll probably have to see the amount of weapons on peacetime, but I think he executes the wood production pretty nicely. I mean, they're always working, but they don't have loads of tree trunks in the buildings, so it's like the city works exactly like it should regarding wood production. Funny. The base looks pretty nice. I mean, it's quite compact. It's not too compact in some areas, like here, for example. But as you can see, there's woodcutters and farms here on the edges of the city, so it's kind of fine, I think. And I wouldn't say his farms are really good. I don't know, I kinda expected a bit better troops from him, and it doesn't look like it's very very good. But looking at Lexus, sorry, doesn't look like a best army around. Seems like he's going for pikemen. And a few horses, probably bowmen. I don't think that army will be very powerful. Kinda like the farms here. I'm not sure if this amount of troops which he's aiming for will be enough for the enemy team. Must admit that the bases looked a bit better in my opinion a few minutes ago. Now it feels a bit worse than I expected. Okay, we have Hargon here. It looks pretty nice, especially the leather is nice at this point of time, I think. Yeah, you can see, well, Don Artie has 10 jackets and 3 horses. Hargon has a bit more, with how many? 2 and 1, so same as Don Artie. Making the third swine farm. Yeah, all seems to point that best army will be from Hargon, I'd say. At least for now, unless Don Artie goes for a more like turtle base and he'll catch up before peacetime. There's still plenty of time, by the way, as there's 10 minutes. I think the recruits would be fine as well, as he has pretty nice amount of gold. Okay, yeah, I'm not worried about Hargon at all. I'm kinda worried here about Lexus, as that iron is kinda... Let's 3 swine farms and at least he'll have a nice amount of horses probably. 7 minutes, so I guess he'll have more than 10 at least. This is pretty nice. I'm just unsure about his iron. It's not going to be too powerful, I'd say. But I have a feeling that his swine farms might be quite powerful. Oh yeah, look at that. It kinda seems like he needs a second tannery. Unless there's gonna be a slowdown here. Maybe there will be. 8 minutes still, so I think 40 leather jackets is something he'll definitely have. Which could be nice. I'm just not convinced about the iron amount here. Compared to Don Artie. Still without the third swine farm. Interesting. How the farms? 6 here. Except this one, all of them are already cutting. So 5 for 3 buildings. Yeah, that's probably going to work best with these buildings for now. You can see some corn there, by the way. Yeah, in 7 minutes. Yeah, at least 40 leather jackets for peacetime for this guy. I think it will be pretty comparable to what Lexus would do, except that I'm not convinced about iron. He still has, I mean, he has about the same amount of swordsmen coming up as Lexus would have pikes and a couple of swordsmen as well. Okay, maybe that's a bit better than, yeah, that's okay. That's a bit better than what Don Artie has right now. Let's also remember that he's still lacking a couple of swords. Oh, well, that explains a lot. Seems like Don Artie didn't notice his fourth iron mine when Lexus did. Well, okay, happens to the best. But I gotta admit that the amount of bows from Don Artie could get better. I'm not convinced about his wood being so great anymore. How many false arms? I don't know, maybe it's okay. Still 5 minutes though, it's kinda lacking, I'd say. Yeah, it could be a bit better. At some point he lacked that fourth woodcutter, I'd say. And that's a real shame, I guess. He has 3 buildings making the weapons though. I think he'll have around 30 bows, maybe. Sjon, I don't know. Kinda not convinced by this army. Couple of horses. Not that many leather and iron troops. It's a pretty challenging lock though. Iron amount is probably okay. I don't know. You can see Hargon has a better amount. It seems to me like Hargon prepared really well for this tournament, and you can see that even on this kind of challenging map, I'd say. He's aiming for like 45 leather jackets, probably. Yeah, in 3.5 minutes. There's a chance. Yeah, there's still a chance. I guess. Kinda. Maybe more like 40. As he doesn't really have anything to work on. Okay, but yeah, this amount of troops is already pretty nice, and I'd like to say that I didn't expect that good performance for the Czech brothers, especially Hargon. Let's see what's in store from Lexus. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. 30 iron troops with 9 horses. Around 30 yeah, it's pretty good. It's not great. Like I like Hargon's army more, but this is also top notch, and it seems to be enough for the enemy team right now. Look at Don Artie's problems making the weapons. He has a lot of jackets, but he's a bit lacking with the bows. Still, he has plenty of horses and not that bad iron production, which compared to the counterparts, KaM, I'm not that great at adding stuff quickly, but let's try. 45. 325. Okay, this gives like 25 swordmen, if I counted correctly. So Donati's amount is a bit better, but he loses a lot. Maybe not a lot. Okay, it's quite comparable because Lexus doesn't have that many wooden weapons either. Just a bit better. So yeah, it's I'd still take Lexus's army, probably for the numbers, but there's almost no difference. Doesn't seem like the wooden weapon workshops are working that well. Might be some problem in the base. There's no food, by the way, which is he's working on it, I guess, but okay, 15 seconds, so let's be quick. You already saw these bases. Let's just take a quick look at Sjon. Yeah, so right now it seems like they're not making a peacetime break. Seems like worst player in this game is Sjon. With that being said, the level is pretty high here, and that's nothing bad to be the worst player here. I'm pretty surprised to say it, because I was valuing a bit more Don Artie and Sjon, especially Don Artie. Seems like Don Artie and Lexus have nearly equal stuff on peacetime, and Sjon is slightly worse than Hargon right now. Very nice performance by Hargon, by the way. Nice to see the Czech brothers already pretty good after the break. Seems like they either didn't forget how to play, or they've been training a bit, and I didn't notice. So yeah, respect to them for that. And here goes the question: Is the advantage in spam great enough to make the Czechs win? Because I kind of have my doubts, especially about what I saw in the fight today before. Maybe it wasn't that important, but still, I have my doubts because I think that after a break, it's also hard to remember how to fight, and you need a few games before you remind yourself how to fight on a high skill level. I believe that's where Sjon and Don Artie might have a bit of an advantage. So I would still say in favor of Czechs. They probably have a better chance to win this, but all depends on the fight. Depends on the fighting skills, and I'd still say the Czechs, but it's close enough. Close enough to have a nice fight today. And the best news is that the armies are quite close in numbers, and there shouldn't be an issue. I mean, I don't expect anyone to go right away and win in 5 minutes. That would be pretty strange. Okay, I'll take a short break. So, be right back in a minute or two. Here we go. Let's see what happens after the peacetime. We have some scouting already here. Seems like the Dutch guys don't see that much so far. But that's a pretty big map, and you can see that takes some time to scout everything here. I think the Czechs are doing pretty good job on that. Let's see. Okay, but as you can see, it's most important to see this area here, I guess, and maybe the alternate roads as well. Still, they didn't walk up here, which is a shame. Maybe they will try to do that actually. Doesn't seem like Twitch is having greatest time, because I can see only one person watching there right now, with most of the viewers on YouTube. That's interesting. Is there some problem with Twitch again, or does it work? No, I think it isn't working again. Oh no, it's working. Okay, good for me, I guess. Anyway, sorry about that. Going back here. You can see Sjon here with his army. Don Artie is very slow going out of the barracks. Doesn't seem like he's getting onto the position fast enough, but it also does not seem like the Czechs have the position yet. I gotta say, by the way, that this log's placement is pretty annoying, because it's pretty easy to rush the barracks, but I can see genius placement of the barracks from Hargon here, because you're protected by this mountaineer, and if you're already here, like if the enemy is already here, he has to go through this entrance, probably all through the base, which is also not preferable. So it's easy to defend on both of these sides, especially that you have reinforcements coming from the left side. So I think it's pretty brilliant to make it here. You could see that Zoltan made it there, and it was impossible to defend it. Like immediately after you lose the fight in this area, you just lose the barracks. So it's instant GG. And there was nothing that F could do, even if I was a bit angry at F that he didn't even try to do something after realizing how bad of a spot his teammate is in. I do realize that his chances were pretty low and his options were pretty limited. We can see a bit different layout that teams are going for, the positions of the troops, which would suggest that the Czechs will be the side which will be trying to push here. I can see that Lexus is going around and probably planning to get inside the base here. I mean, how much do they see? Oh, they see a lot. Whoa. So if they walk into this area of Sjon's base, could be pretty good for them. In the meantime, desperate try from Sjon to scout a bit. Not so desperate if it works. But yeah, you can see clearly the plan here. And the upside of the plan is that you can see that Hargon is only waiting to see Don Artie's reaction, whether he tries to attack him or to help here. And it's pretty obvious what they're gonna do. Like, he can walk easily through this entrance, so Sjon is pretty much fucked, I'd say. And how much do they see, by the way? Because they can see everything. They see what happens there. What the hell? And they're not reacting at all. This is really bad, really, from Sjon and Don Artie. Because you can basically read their entire plan here, and at least to me it's pretty obvious what's gonna happen. And the Dutch team is completely oblivious. Seems like Don Artie is doing something very far away. He's completely out of fight. This is outrageous, I'd say. I don't even know what to say. And now Hargon and Lexus are just going here to catch him. Which actually is not the best idea, because I'd just go inside there. But they also do that as well. Okay, so yeah, but they should have probably tried to go here fast, make Sjon panic and try to defend his base first. Because right now you have a situation where the Czechs are standing here. You can't really... Well, Hargon will try to go here maybe, but it's not that easy. And you kinda have to stay here to block. Okay, we'll see how many forces he sends to the bottom. But I believe Lexus should not send too many here. Yeah, just this and a few maybe horses. Okay, it depends on Don Artie's reaction. And Don Artie seems to be choosing to enter here. This might be a good idea. The problem is, if this attacks, and he kinda has to, then he gets raped from the left side. Interesting. And I also see Lexus doesn't really know what to do. I think he's just trying to pretend to go here. Or he felt like his bowmen are needed here because Don Arties are there. Yeah, that's probably it. A lot of bowmen from Don, by the way. Yeah, that's why Lexus eventually moved in. But the problem is he doesn't even move these troops. And they're just getting shot at. And when you're shooting pikes, they just die. So that's a bad decision, I guess. You should really divide it. Send some here, send some here. And now he's just losing his army for the free. This is really bad decision from himself. There's some horses here as well, so it won't be too easy to... to go for Lexus. He'll lose a few horses. He has some pikes, so it won't be a bad fight for him. He still has a chance. Nah, he has to go back, really. Look at what's happening here. Whoa. Gonna lose a lot, probably. Unless he takes this back, which will happen. Yeah, he should go back with his troops here and... but not like this. Oh, maybe to work. In the meantime, there's not a lot happening here. I believe there was a short skirmish on the top. I wasn't really looking at this area, but I think we still had it on screen, so you could probably see better than I did. Hargon is sending his horses to the bottom, and in the meantime trying to go back. I must say this is pretty interesting fight here. Don Artie had some smart stoppers on the way for the Lexus, but I believe that if Lexus goes way too deep, it's gonna be hard for him to pull it back, and he really wants to do so, I'm afraid, because there's more and more troops coming here. And in the meantime, some distraction in the base and attack from Hargon and catch with one. Ha! Look at this. It almost worked. He wanted to catch those from behind, but they managed to kill. Okay, look at this. The old Czechs are not rusty at all in fight. Look at that. Doing whatever he wants with Sjon, although he still has quite some troops, and I think if not for the horses here, it could be GG for the Hargon straight away. I think the reinforcements are gonna help him here soon. And now Lexus is going back, probably trying to salvage his troops for a while, and it doesn't look that great on the top, by the way, as Hargon's troops are also dying, but I think there will be enough, just enough bows to kill this off before this kills off the bows. Yeah, there's some reinforcements here. Let's make a better view. Don Artie is sending some troops there. He probably gonna catch this and shoot before he goes here. Okay, pretty interesting on top as well as Sjon, whatever, lost most of his troops there. Okay, catching this because it's easy kills. The horse will probably get killed as well. Okay, there's another catch there. Don Artie coming. Whoa, look at those horses dying. Lexus still defending here. I think he'll be fine. And what should now happen is maybe they should try to attack there. But the safe option is going on both fronts. At least if you don't try to push in too quickly. I must admit that this is a pretty nice spot for shooting. Especially that Don Artie's bows are not shooting, not all of them at least, so it was kinda even for a while. I must admit, by the way, again, that I really like what the Czechs are doing in the fights today. They are not hiding in the holes at all. It's the Dutch who are camping. And I'm not saying the Dutch are camping bad, by the way, because their defenses are quite nice, and I mean, well, I'd say that maybe there were some mistakes on their side, but but there's another problem. Seems like Sjon lost all his troops. He didn't have many of them. But I thought he's gonna be, pushing, going back, and not letting Hargon in. And right now it seems like Don Artie's troops are caught in a sandwich situation. There's no chance at all to do anything with it because he simply has no more melee. Meantime, Sjon trying to shoot. To kill off the bows, but there's too many of them, and they just start shooting down the holes, and eventually they kill him probably. Still, he killed a lot of bows. But as you can see, okay, in the meantime on the left side some strange things are happening. I mean, Don Artie lost all his bows, so it's GG, but Lexus also lost a lot. It's not that important though, as you can see. The bottom team has no troops left. Almost. They're still trying, but that ain't gonna work yet. But you can see. Ah, come on. That's one stubborn swordman. But he doesn't have a choice right now. But you can see that somehow Don Artie managed with just a couple of pikes to make Hargon go out of his base, and only with one swordman to push Lexus out very far away. So if the bottom team was very clever, they could have had a chance to at least kill off these troops, but as you can see, Hargon still had the knight, and it was extremely hard to do that. So the Czechs are back in the city, and I'm afraid this time they're gonna stay here as long as they want to. Knight is still trying something. He's one stubborn guy, but I think not a lot more is gonna happen here. Oh well. Well, this probably means it's GG, but I guess we'll have to wait for the boys to admit it. Yep. GG. So we have 2 games of this tournament behind us. After Wilhelms and Big Bang going out and winning over F and Zoltan, we have Lexus and Hargon, old Czech players, beat Sjon and Don Artie, also from Beer, but Dutch. So it's a much needed comeback of Czech players in this game, I gotta say. As historically we've had a lot of very good players from that country, but since quite a few years, none of them almost. And we have 3 Czechs, because Big Bang is also a Czech, win their games today. So I guess that's nice. Let's see the stats. Well, it's gonna be a bit more even, but you can see the Czechs were pretty even. Don Artie, I think he started spamming like crazy at some point. I mean, Sjon obviously had his base invaded, so these stats are not 100% correct, I think. But you could still feel that he had a bit less. Yeah, you can see on the screenshot. I mean, on the army graphs. That's not unexpected. Gotta say again that the performance of Czech brothers was pretty nice, especially the fights. Obviously they had a bit more, but they executed it pretty nicely. And the Dutch they didn't have much choice. They just had to die. And that's it. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's it for today as well, and that's the last game I'm gonna stream, because probably nobody's gonna play another tournament game. So I'd like to thank you guys, and be sure to be there tomorrow around 14, because like I said on the stream before, we're gonna see the game between Abja Black Pearl and Pabzak Drakir. This one. And when it comes to the game that happened right now, Seems like the next game for the Czech brothers is going to be against Mandos and Boss. Mandos is well, the tournament organizer from Sudan, if I'm correct, and Boss is yet another Dutch guy. So might also be an interesting game. But if I may say so, after seeing the Czechs today, I'm pretty sure they're strong favorites for the next game. All depends on Mandos and Boss. I gotta say that I remember Boss from screwing up his games in the tournaments. It's a shame, but I've seen him already do that a few times, so I'm afraid he can't really handle the pressure. Mm. Well, I know some people, myself included, who do the same usually, so nothing bad about it, right? But it doesn't give them that great of a chance. But I'm really hoping he's gonna change my mind and put up a really nice base along with Mandos and show Czechs how it's done. But like I said, after the game today, I think that Czechs are going to be one of the most interesting teams in this tournament, and I'm looking forward to see their later games. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys and girls, if we have some here, and see you tomorrow at 14. Abia Blackpearl versus Pabzake and Drakir. And like I promised before, I promised to learn how to pronounce these nicknames. Fuck's sake. Okay. Yeah.